Welcome to my new YouTube project called Energy Mechanics, where I will be exploring the energetic dynamics associated with all sorts of interesting topics, from self-cultivation to medicine to societal and relational dynamics to whatever else we think of and whatever else you're interested in, or I'm interested in, or our guests end up being interested in. We're going to explore all of these things from the lens of what is happening with the energetics of a particular subject or a particular topic. And likely I'm going to have people coming on at different points. I'm really looking forward to discussing these topics with people from different perspectives. So this can range from starting in medicine and health, which is my own background, one aspect of my background as a Chinese medicine practitioner. I practice acupuncture, herbal medicine, medical qigong, body work, etc., all these modalities. From that perspective, exploring what's happening in the body and the mind as it relates to the energetic perspective, and also all kinds of other subjects like relational dynamics or societal dynamics or just kind of how things work. We'll be picking all kinds of topics, and I'll be asking you to also bring topics to this so we can really expand what we know and how we think, and then also hopefully how we live and how we relate and how we interact with things. So it's going to be a lot of things here, and I also hope to bring in all kinds of people. I know a lot of really amazing people, interesting people. There's a lot of people I'd probably really enjoyed talking to about these things. So my plan is to also have chats with a lot of different people, and also just to come on here and share ideas, share recommendations and tips, things that I think of. This is kind of a outlet for things I think might be useful for people that I've been wanting to share. So after I finish a shifting clinic and I have ideas that would be useful, I will come here probably and post them here. So this might be a collection of things from self-care tips to how things work. So that's the plan for this channel. To put it very simply, my intent for this channel is half poetry, half technical, is my hope for this. Everything that I see through this lens, I think is just so beautiful, and I would love to get to share this perspective about how energy moves through everything with more people and explore it. So part of it is just this desire to enjoy this perspective and see how it can expand and change and grow. And the other half is a technical discussion, both from myself as a practitioner of Chinese medicine and also a practitioner of Qigong and Neigong and other internal energetic systems, and also with all kinds of other people who have their own technical perspectives on different subjects. What is energy? This is a really big discussion, and I'm not going to dive into the whole thing right now because there's lots of great perspectives on this that I would love to explore. And I would like to explain what my basic perspective is so that you know what I'm talking about. Basically, for me, energy is the subtle substance that is halfway between consciousness and matter. It is the intermediary between the two. If we imagine a spectrum of density from least dense to most dense, the interplay, the gradient between the dense and the not dense, this dance is described as energy and its movements. Now, that dance is not apart from matter, and that dance is also not apart from consciousness. It involves both. So this means that when we're talking about energetic mechanics, we're not just talking about something subtle that we can't measure, although we are, but we're also talking about its expressions in materiality. For example, in Chinese medicine, we have all these different descriptions of how we use the term chi, which I'll talk more about, how the chi dynamics within the body affect different physiological systems. And if we look carefully at what's happening in the body, we can start to map out things that are happening biochemically that match what we're talking about in Chinese medicine when we describe certain qi dynamics. So when I'm referring to energy moving and flowing and changing and doing different things, for me, at the same time, it is also including all of the biochemical changes that are happening, all of the changes at a physical and structural level. That is all happening at the same time. These two are not apart. That is the basic framework I want to begin with, is the bridge between consciousness and matter, is this interplay that we're calling energy. That's the first thing. Now, I want to address a few other perspectives that often come up when talking about and trying to define what energy is. I wish we had a better term. Sometimes it implies something that is simply apart from matter, like I was saying. Like it's something that is just, we can't know it, we can't measure it. I don't think that's true ultimately. I just don't think we have gotten there yet. So I prefer a perspective that really integrates the material perspective and that which is beyond the material that we have yet encountered. Now, that's the perspective of energy as a thing. We can also think of what I'm talking about as energy as a process or an effect. For example, when the wind is blowing, we see the trees, the leaves in the trees moving, and we feel it on our skin. So we know something is happening, but we can't see it. And for a long time, we couldn't measure it, but we could tell this thing existed. We just didn't know. We didn't know that it was gas. We didn't call it that. We couldn't tell what its particles were. We couldn't measure its composition, but it was a thing and we had real interaction with it. So we knew it by its effects. And there are many things that occur that we don't yet have the frameworks or the capacity to measure well, that yet seem to exist and that are very significant for us and for our experience. So energy is also one of these things. We use terms like this to point to something that we are experiencing, to name it so that we can explore it further. So when I am describing energy and what it is, I hope we don't lock it into something too tight, because I think it should always be something we are continuing to explore. We're putting names to something that is vast. So let's keep it wide open. In Chinese medicine, the word qi, which is often translated as energy, has many meanings and means many different things in many contexts. And for anyone who really understands the depth of that word in its original context, knows that translating it to just energy is really missing a lot of its profundity and also its simplicity and also its mundanity. So while I hesitate to make this simple one-to-one correspondence between the two words, for the purposes of these discussions, I will largely be using both of those words, qi and energy, in the same way. I will be interchangeably using the two. Why do I think this is useful? Why am I making a channel about this? I observe that people are naturally and intuitively using this type of language around the movement of energy and energetic interactions all the time. They use it when they describe how a space feels when they walk into it. They use it to describe how a person made them feel. They use it to describe what's happening in their bodies and their minds. And unfortunately, in our cultural context and in our language, we just don't have a lot of language or a lot of frameworks for elucidating and exploring and diving into and even acknowledging what people are naturally describing from their experience. So a big part of my intention here is to just begin to smooth the way a little more for people to feel comfortable exploring the language of energy in their day-to-day lives, understanding how things are moving in their lives and in themselves. I personally have found it to be immensely useful to have this framework. I don't know what I would do without it. It makes everything make more sense to me. And it helps me to, frankly, it helps me to understand how things work better. And by understanding how things work better, it helps me to make things that I do work better. So I want to share that with you. And I want you to have that too. And I want also all of us to improve upon and expand that. I'm just very curious to see where this goes. So the language of energetics is intuitive, it's natural, it's something that comes automatically, I think, for most people. And I think that we're trained out of it because of what we're taught about reality. And that's very unfortunate because right here, all the time, right behind what we're normally looking at, there is all this other stuff happening. And I think it's a shame that we don't have frameworks that make it easy to see, feel, acknowledge, describe what is happening just behind the surface, what is happening that is not just material. This plays a big part in why we have this big mind-body split in the culture and in our own body minds oftentimes. Even that term, you can just hear it in there. There's this split because we don't have the frameworks to really understand in an intuitive way how the mind and the body interact. And I think that is a shame. And I would really like to have it be possible for more people to break out of that. So that's why we're doing this. Also, this is fun for me. I think it's fun to explore all kinds of subjects through this lens. And I have done a lot of that on my own, but I tend to think best when I'm talking with other people. So I think that we can go farther than any one of us can go. So this brings me to another one of my intentions for this channel. I don't really like talking in front of a camera to nobody. I much prefer to explore ideas with people, real people, and in real contexts in which things matter to us, and in which I get to discover who you are, where you're coming from, you get to discover who I am, where I'm coming from, and we can create something from there. So my hope is that this channel isn't just talking head videos, but also can lead to real discussions. If you're interested in this topic to any degree, I would love to hear what questions you have, and I will start making videos about these and exploring these. I should also say that this topic is not abstract for me. This is my daily life. In our self-cultivation practices that we do with the Qigong and the Neigong and the practices, etc. In these practices, the energetics are a very tangible, very real, very consequential part of my own mind-body energy experience. It is extremely physical and extremely strong and is constantly shaping my own experience and shaping my body, my physical health, and also what's happening in my mind. So it's very, very tangible, very, very real. And it's also an integral part of my clinical practice and my experience with patients. Every single day that I go into work, my job is to observe and perceive what is happening with the energetic dynamics of that person and create changes in that, either with my hands, with medical Qigong, or with the needles, with acupuncture, or with herbs internally, with herbal medicine. So this is not abstract for me. This is my world. And this is also part of why this is a poetic love note to the universe, because in some ways, I'm over here experiencing this world that for me is extremely vibrant and extremely inspiring. And this worldview that is, for me, connecting both the cosmic and the personal, connecting both the material and the etheric, connecting everything together in this beautiful dynamic play. And I just want to share that with you. So this is why we are here. Please stay tuned for more videos. I hope to continue to get more efficient with these videos. I'm not used to talking to a camera. I hope that this can be engaging for you and that you will share things that you'd like to hear about, learn about, or wonder about. To get more videos in these topics as I continue to make them, I would please ask you to subscribe and like. I say that because all the other videos say that, and I'm assuming it's important for the algorithm. Also, if you subscribe, then you will see when my videos come out. So please do that, and thank you so much for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. Thank you.